And it's that time again. Another episode of JoelCupcake Unedited with your boy. That's me. I'm JoelCupcake. What's going on, everybody? How we doing? Hope everyone enjoyed my episode last week. I did, so I hope you did. And if you didn't, I don't fucking care because it's my show. That's what's up. What's going on, everybody? Just a reminder, the debates tonight. Watch that. Be educated. I don't care what side of the political spectrum you're on. Either way, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. The country needs some change, so vote and educate yourself. Watch the debates, all that nonsense. But fuck all that. We've had too many politics popping up in the last couple episodes. I don't want to do all that. You all know what the show is about. It's me unedited. It's my guests unedited. No bullshit. I don't go back. I don't change anything. I don't fucking take money from sponsors. I got nothing. I do this as an outlet for myself and as something to provide entertainment for you watching. So thanks. If you're new here, feel free to hit that subscribe button over there, boop, 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 underneath the screen. That'd be tight. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch. I stream. I do some stuff on there. I hang out a lot on that. All my socials are in the comments. Follow me on that. And we do have a Facebook page going for the show. So if you could go swing by and give me a like on that, that would be fucking excellent. Anyways, today's guests, I'm pumped. It was his birthday last night. He fucking shreds. He is my favorite person to get in arguments with on the fucking internet. And we go back and forth a lot, but he's a fucking great dude. We've been friends for quite a while now. He's also played in a couple of the legendary bands that NorCal's had over the years. So I am very, very excited to have my good fucking friend Rob here today. Rob, how are we doing, brother?
Hey, what is going on? Thank you for having me on, man.
Dude, thank you for joining me.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. For those of you that don't know, Rob, his most recent project is called Muldrotha, right? That's I'm saying it correctly?
It's actually Muldrotha. But
Muldrotha. Okay, my bad.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the word actually exists in any kind of dictionary, so
fuck it.
But actually, fun fact with the name is actually it is a Magic the Gathering creature, and Andrew actually was the one that came up with the name for the
okay.
Because we were looking for names for it at the time, and then we just couldn't find one that he told me. He said, well, there's this really cool name, Muldrotha the Gravetide. I think we should maybe look at that. And I was like, I like that first part a lot, Muldrotha. And he goes like, dude, me too. And I think it was at one of your shows.
Yeah, he actually, I was talking to him like last week about you. You came up, and he was like, yeah, man, like that. Like I did the same thing to him. I was like, how the fuck do I say the band name? And then he was like, oh, it's from a Magic the Gathering card. I was like, oh, it all makes fucking sense now.
That's right.
But yeah, so you're in that band. You were obviously the other main part of the Zenith Passage composition stuff. You've been in All Shall Perish. I think I might have met you. Did you ever fill in for Fallujah? Am I imagining that in my brain?
Oh yeah, for a couple of years I filled in with those guys for a while. I was with Fallujah. We started. I think I hopped in with Fallujah, I believe, like the tail end of 2008.
Okay.
That was right when they wrote the. They were right. I think they were in the middle of writing the Leper Colony EP.
Okay. Yeah.
That was like their first kind of like more so like kind of like bigger release that they pushed out. Before it was like I think a lot of singles and like really just kind of one of those bands in the scene in the Bay Area metal scene. I think I met those guys at I want to say I met Andrew first out of all of them. I was before Fallujah. I was in a band called Eviscerated out of Concord, and a lot of shows happened at this place called Colorblind Studios, and I know Fallujah and us both played that place quite a bit.
Yeah, I remember that place. I think I've been there. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a really cool place. Like between that place and I want to say Red House, those are two really cool like Bay Area venues. And I think that that's where I first saw Fallujah play all those years ago, and I was like, dude, this band is freaking really cool. Just like just sick. Kind of like at the time modern. Modern style of like death metal, or I guess deathcore, however you want to look at it at that time. That's kind of like the style that was big. you know, and all those guys were super young too. I think I was always the oldest person in the band, you know, at that point.
Yeah.
You know, those guys were always super young, but man, it's crazy to think about that time going all the way back and hopping into that band after Eviscerated kind of ended. And
so yeah, I mean, we kind of jumped the shark a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you start? So was it Eviscerated was your first band, right? Technically.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what? When did you start Eviscerate? Like, give me the like.
Oh, so I didn't
leaving high school, going into playing music. Like, I want that story.
Eviscerated was a band already in existence before I joined. Kind of like after out of high school, I really started going into like local shows because, you know, I was just all about music and just, you know, I was deep into like, you know, just all the bands kind of really big at the time. Like, you know, I think I want to say my bands that got me really in death metal was Between the Buried and Me and Black Dahlia Murder. You know, those two bands, like those bands really solidified my love for the genre. And like, that's when I really took a deep delve into like death metal as a whole, you know, and then all the bands that kind of like, you know, started to come up with that, you know, got into like, you know, Despised Icon was one for sure, Through the Eyes of the Dead. And of course, you know, Animosity, just the Bay Area.
I mean,
and then, Animosity, and then of course, All Shall Perish, you know.
Yeah.
Hometown Love, all those guys. And then, when I started going to like more of these local shows, you know, and Colorblind was one of the shows I went to, and I saw Eviscerated play, and I was just like, dude, these guys just sound pro. Like, I mean, I was super young at the time, but, you know, I mean, they just had everything together. In my eyes, they had everything together. They had, you know, songwriting down, you know, just all the guys knew how to play really well, you know, and I was just like, I need to be in a band like this, you know, just something that and I got to know those guys for a while, Taylor, Nick, Marco, the drummer at the time, and, you know, we all kind of I met those guys and like, you know, just kind of through shows and like going to shows for a while. And like, you know, and after a while I got together with Taylor and like, you know, just
say that again, Rob. My internet got all screwy for a second. So you said you met Taylor and then.
Yeah. Taylor Holt, it was a guy who I kind of meshed with the most and Eviscerated at first. And so like we got together and just like play guitar together. And then through that, you know, just kind of like building that friendship up, you know, I just kind of naturally joined the band at that point and then did a lot of things with them, you know, played and like really kind of like, that was my first band ever. So like, and that was my first time really kind of like engaging, like, you know, the band working mentality, like, you know, working with members and like, you know, kind of like getting all of that squared away. And then, you know, unfortunately that band just kind of like never worked out fully. And then, but through them, you know, I met Fallujah at the time, you know, I met Andrew, like, you know, and all those guys, you know, I thought all those guys were great dudes too, you know, just, it was like, that was a really cool thing kind of coming up, just kind of like meeting all these people through the scene, you know, and like, just kind of like knowing who all the bands were and like who was in it. And so, after that though, then after Eviscerated kind of like had its kind of dissolved, then I just, you know, hopped into Fallujah and then they were like right in the middle of writing the Leper Colony EP. And I think and then I knew like that was like the type of music that I really wanted to make. Because Eviscerated took a lot of like, you know, very like old school style of death metal.
Yeah.
Influences, you know, they were very into like, you know, their influences went from like, you know, Severed Savior to like, you know, just really kind of old Decrepit Birth, like the very like, you know, old, I would say like, you know, California style death metal.
Yeah.
Cruise, like that kind of stuff.
West Coast death metal, bro. I mean, that's where it's at, man.
Yeah, and then but at the time too, also like, I was like, when what Fallujah was writing at the time, I was like, this is like the stuff for me for sure. Like I was like, you know, what I felt really comfortable with, and I really fell into with them. And then like, you know, just then I did my first tour with Fallujah. Our first tour was with Antagony. You know, other, you know.
Oh, geez, dude.
Yes, man. Just
Carlos will probably never watch this, but if he does, I love you, you fucking crazy motherfucker.
He'll watch this to talk shit on me 100%, strictly to do that for sure. But you know, though, so that was our first tour with them, and like that was my first tour, like, you know, just getting to know what the road was like. It was only like a 2-week tour, but like, man, like what an experience to like, you know, see that, you know, because you're growing up and you're going to all these shows, you know, and you're seeing all these bands, you know, play their set, and like, you know, that was a really eye-opening experience, like going on the road and like just seeing what that day-to-day process is like, you know. And you definitely realize right off the bat, like, man, this is rough. Like, you know, if you just go right into it for the first time, you're like, wow, this is like what it is. But, you know, we're having like, but I remember getting home and thinking like, man, that was rough, but I don't think I've ever had that much fun ever doing something.
Yeah.
And I just like couldn't wait to do it again, man. So like, you
Yeah.
know, skip a couple of months, you know, then the band started writing our first full length, The Harvest Moons. And the band's like, you know, style, like kind of like I would say pretty drastically changed. You know, we went from kind of like, you know, this, I want to say this atmospheric kind of blackened deathcore style to, you know, I would say more the atmospheric death metal style that the band's a little bit more known for now.
Yeah.
They're kind of like cemented their style into it.
You guys really, the band's definitely gone farther and farther away from deathcore over time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would say that, you know, once the band released Harvest Moons, it was like, you know, a completely different band, you know. Just like, you know, I remember, you know, Scott, the lead guitarist, Scott Carstairs, you know, I think now, you know, one of the most renowned, just one of the best guitarists in the scene for sure. You know, the dude is just, the dude has always been just like super, you know, into his guitar playing, and like, you know, he just always got really into theory and like, you know, learning the ins and outs of guitar. And you can see that, you know, with what the ideas and stuff that he was bringing when we were writing the Harvest Moons, you know, just stuff that I at the time was like, dude, how did you think of that?
Yeah.
Like that, you know, and so like what in turn, you know, I think it helped me become a better player through the years too, just kind of like seeing that writing style and like, you know, trying to write, you know, quality death metal, I would say. And you know, that was a really just fun collaborative effort writing that record, you know, putting that together. Just, you know, you know, we had like elements of, you know, just straight up brutal death metal, and then like, you know, the newer kind of stuff that we're hoping to bring was like, you know, the atmospheric elements into the music.
Yeah, Falluja's always been a band that does like it's never just something straight. You know what I mean? It's never just death metal. Like it's always death metal and a little deathcore, or death metal and atmospheric, or, you know, now it's like really atmospheric with a little deathcore. You know what I mean? And, you know, especially in the era when you guys, I can say that, like when we all came up, it was like hard to do that because it was like everybody wanted fucking deathcore.
Yeah.
Or you know, like the only band that was really towing the line back then was fucking Despised Icon. That's it. You know, every other band was either straight deathcore or more just like Moria, where they're like a heavier metalcore band. You know what I mean? Like there was like, and then but then you get like Despised Icon, BT Bam. You get those bands where they pop up where it's like, oh dude, this is a blend and this is sick.
Yeah,
it's fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, man, and it works really well. And you know, that was definitely good, like you were saying too. I think that was definitely also a challenge too, you know, trying to like do that style when like, you know, the most prominent style was for sure like, you know, the Whitechapel, or, you know, Through the Eyes of the Dead, and kind of all of those, like kind of like, you know, main name bands at the time.
Yeah. Would you consider? Let's go off subject for a second here, because you're someone I can actually have this conversation with. So I've said it before on other episodes of the show. Like one of the bands, so like I grew up and I was like a punk ska kid growing up, and then I got into like goth punk, goth industrial. Then I found my way to nu metal. Kind of came full circle, and eventually discovered Poison the Well, and then Poison the Well opened the door to this genre, as they did for most people. But I didn't listen to metal or death metal. Like metal to me was like Slipknot. You know what I mean? Like I didn't listen to death metal. That door wasn't open to me until I heard the Red Chord and Through the Eyes of the Dead. And a lot of, you know, I feel like there's a lot of that argument of like, what type of music is Through the Eyes of the Dead? I've never considered them a deathcore band, but I know a lot of other people, at least the first album and the first, you know, that EP that most people haven't even heard. Most people consider them a deathcore band. I think that they're just a fucking tech metal band. That's me.
No, I 100% agree. You know, it's funny because, you know, I think if you probably ask any of those bands, they would probably hate to label themselves deathcore. You know, I think it's just that label that came out of MySpace.
Yeah.
You know? But when you look at Bloodlust, I think that came out in like 2006.
Yeah.
You know, that was a pretty influential album for me growing up as well too. But you know, it's funny when I first heard bands like Black Dahlia Murder and Through the Eyes of the Dead. You know, I also listened to a band called At the Gates, so you're getting that like kind of like, you know, that's what they reminded me of. You know, they reminded me of that, like, you know, that style that came from that band. But of course, me at the time didn't know. When I first heard At the Gates and Dahlia, I heard At the Gates, and I was like, oh wow, these guys sound like Black Dahlia Murder. Little did I know, At the Gates, for quite a while, and like I said, it was the one. But
Bloodlust was that fucking record. Is like, if that record had never come out, I never would have gotten into actual like death metal and the more technical sides of metal, because like that record just changed it for me. Like,
oh, I think what's that? That 2 inches away from me, Otter. I think that's I think that is the anthem.
Dude, I don't think there's a CD that starts better than that. Honestly, like, like no disrespect to Hatebreed and some of the greats and stuff, but like, there's not really a record that starts better than that fucking CD does, dude. Like, you're hooked. It doesn't matter if you like metal or metalcore. Like, that song just gets you jazzed right from the fucking start.
It's just like, for me, what it comes down to, man, it's just good, heavy, extreme music, man. That's kind of, how I look at it all nowadays. I try to like maybe not necessarily associate a lot of that stuff with genres anymore, because
I hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, like, I like to look at, I guess if there was one thing that's more specific, I would just say death metal as a genre itself. But like, all genres that come with it, I really don't like, label anything with that anymore. So
I try to stick to like death metal, metalcore, and tech metal. Like, those are my 3 genres, because you can have technical metalcore bands. You know what I mean? Like, you can. Like, there are definitely bands that toe way more towards the core side with shreddy guitars. And I hate the term gent, so we're just not even going to act like that exists in this conversation. So
that came out of that, man, gents.
Yes, but also, anyways, well, awesome. I'm glad you agree with me. Like, I think, because I tell people, like, when I got into like the real heavy music, it was like Cage of Strain and As Lay Dying. That's what did it for me, for like heavy breakdown centric music. But when it comes to death metal, it's fucking Through the Eyes of the Dead. It's not even Through the Eyes of the Dead, and it's just Through the Eyes of the Dead. But then I heard like Red Chord, Number 12 Looks Like You, some of the more like chaotic stuff. And then I was also like, okay, I like, to me, it's just all extreme metal. You know what I mean? So I fucking love it, dude.
100%, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you did Harvest Moons with Fallujah, and then I know you had a little stint in All Shall Perish, which that's so I don't remember when we met, but you've always been in my phone as Rob ASP, like Rob All Shall Perish.
So right there, that we have to have met when I was with All Shall Perish at the time. That's one thing, is I can't remember when we met either, but I just know that we for sure over the years just been at the same shows.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just like Josh Richards, and like, because like, I always thought it was like, people don't understand that, like, how it used to be back in the day, where like the same tour could go play the Pound and play San Jose and play Salinas, like, because the scene was insane. So growing up in the East Bay, I feel like you guys had a lot more death metal influence, and the South Bay had a lot more of like the breakdown metalcore influence. Totally. At least in my opinion, I would say that. Like, I lived through it, so I think I'm enabled. I'm worthy. I say that.
No, I agree, man. You were there to see all that shit too, man. Just like, that I remember you being there all the time. But trying to think. Yeah. So then back to where we met, though. I think when I had just kind of met All Shall Perish, though, Fallujah had played, I think, a lot of local shows with All Shall Perish whenever we could. I we got to play a show with them, because like their shows were always just so fun and always just so like, just kind of packed out. And I always really looked at All Shall Perish as like the really big like staple of the Bay Area for death metal, at least,
Yeah.
And all those guys were always great, Ben, Eddie, Mike, all the kind of OG members of the band.
Yeah.
So then when Ben left, Mike had their bass player. Mike had called me up and said, "Hey, we need a guitar player to play second guitar for this In Flames tour. Are you down?" I was just like, "Yeah, I'm down." I
didn't realize that In Flames tour was your first tour with the band.
That was my first tour ever with
That's insane.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
And that was when like In Flames was kind of at their peak too, right? Like,
dude, I mean, because that was my first tour, big tour with like, bands like that. I had never really seen like, kind of like production style, like these big like clubs and theaters, and like, I really didn't know, the perception of metal, like, in Canada, dude. Like, In Flames is huge in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was just like, just every night watching it, I was just like blown away. Like, just how big and like, how different everything is, and it was my first bus tour also. So that was pretty cool. And we got to share it with the band Demon Hunter for
Love that band.
5-week tour or something like that. We shared a bus with them.
Yeah, lineup. It was In Flames. Who was
that
direct?
was, if I remember correctly, that was Battlecross, All Shall Perish, Demon Hunter, and then In Flames.
Oh, Demon was direct. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Demon Hunter, that was, so that's the thing too. Also, I had no idea who Demon Hunter was, but I kept hearing that they were like, just some really big deal. They're a big band. I was like, I've never heard of them,
Yeah.
And then, we played in, God, I forget where we were. We were in Canada sometime, but it was the first time that they had been to this part of Canada, I think. And dude, that crowd went just absolutely nuts for Demon Hunter. And I was just like, dude, holy shit, man, these guys are freaking, really big. Like,
That's so sick.
bigger than I could have had pictured. But the whole tour was just really, really fun, man. The Flames guys were really cool. Their crew was super cool. Just that experience was just like, for a first time doing something like that.
Yeah, seriously.
Playing, guitar from one of my favorite bands on a tour with like, one of the biggest, influential metal bands. Like, that was pretty sick.
That's insane, dude.
Just
insane.
A lot of cool firsts with All Shall Perish, man. Like, after the In Flames tour, we flew, if I remember correctly, we did a tour in Japan with Obituary. It was like for like a week. And
that's so sick.
That was crazy. I was just like, dude, what is life right now? This is so sick, going with, one of the, heaviest, OG bands of all time. Those guys are super cool. After that was Orion Festival with Metallica in 2013. But that was, just like, that was even crazier.
Yeah.
A funny story about that too, because we played the same stage that they played. The Orion stage is what it was called.
Yeah.
We were backstage, like, we're kind of all on our stage. And the stage is huge too, by the way. So, so before we went on, Kirk Hammett just kind of walks up behind us and surprises us with the Guitar World photographer. And I guess Kirk Hammett was like a really big fan of All Shall Perish. So,
I've definitely heard that, yes.
Yeah, so he came up and said hello to all of us, and like, to me, like, having listened to Metallica, being, of course, like, my introduction to metal, and just know what Metallica is and what they've done, and just like when he came up and walked behind us, I was like, that was a pretty like starstruck moment. I was just like, dude, that's freaking Kirk Hammett. It's kind of like just coming up and just saying,
that's so tight.
And he was talking to all of us. He was talking to me about my guitar from it, if I remember correctly. The 7-string guitars. He just like I remember him. He was like, man, I just can't get around playing the 7-string stuff, man. It's just too crazy, or something along those lines. And so we were about to go on, and he was going to introduce us on stage before we played.
Oh, that's so tight.
But before we did that, though, my wireless pack for my guitar, it started to go on the fritz. Like the signal started getting messed up, so like nothing was coming out of my guitar. And I guess what happened was Stephen Carpenter from Deftones, because they played that same stage too. His wireless rig was interfering with our wireless rig. So I had to run all the way across the stage in front of like thousands of people and reset my wireless pack and then run back. But when I ran back, Kirk was like, hey, you good? And I was like, yeah, I'm all good. He's like, all right, man. And then he goes out and he introduces us. And like, it was like the coolest, like we played for an hour, I think, but I so fast. It was like, that was probably the coolest, like, performance ever, just having played in front of that many people, like in like this open air setting, and the sound was so big, and like, it was crazy too. My first time seeing both Metallica and Deftones live was playing a show with them. I got something that I can always like look back and say, which is a pretty cool experience.
That's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
That was crazy, man. And I just, I would love to relive that moment over and over because that was so cool. And like, dude, such good catering too. Just top of the line food there.
I've heard. I've never gotten to tour Europe, and everyone's always told me like, doing Europe and the big festivals is the way to get the good food and the catering.
This festival was in Michigan.
No, I know, but none of the bands I toured with ever got to hit anything that big.
Oh, right.
The biggest thing I've ever got to be at a part of is New England Metal and Hardcore Festival. You know what I mean?
That's one fest I never got to see, unfortunately.
I went with who was I on tour with for that one? Was I on tour with? It was either Arsonist or Within the Ruins, one of those two bands for that.
That's got to be Arsonist.
Fuck, dude, I don't remember. I'd have to look at all my.
You're the one because they're in Cali, so I figured you would just probably hop with those guys, right?
Yeah, it might have been the As Blood Runs Black tour. Oh yeah, because Thick as Blood was with us. Yeah, so it was. Oh no, I wasn't with Arsonist at all. It was. I have the tour pass somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I did one of those like stupid mini fest tours. You know what I mean? That used to happen all the time.
Yeah.
It was like As Blood Runs Black, In the Midst of Lions.
The festival tour.
Yeah, like Thick as Blood, Burning the Masses. It was like fucking 8 or 10 bands or something.
So it's insane.
That was my only time. But I got to watch Red Chord live, and it fucking made my fucking year.
Dude, I love Red Chord. But yeah, ASP did that. I think when the last tour that All Shall Perish did actually was the Heavy Montreal tour. Mm-hmm. That was a really cool festival too, man. That was a festival where I was like, dude, like, you know, such sick catering when we get there, you know. We go in there, they gave us a big bottle of Jaeger as we drove in.
Yeah.
The band entrance too. That was pretty cool.
That's so sick, dude.
There's just so many huge bands there too, man. That was probably one of the coolest festivals. I would say that was pretty close to cool. The Orion Festival was that festival too. You know, I was a big Winter Sun fan, and like I was walking out of the like band area, and I hop in, and Yari from Winter Sun just hops in there with me, like just out of nowhere. And
that's so sick.
Yari from Winter Sun, dude. Just like, you know, one of the bands, you know, take big influence from. But dude, yeah, just the All Shall Perish experience was just, you know, just a really, really cool thing to go through for myself, you know. So yeah.
My favorite, dude, I wish you would have been in the fucking band sooner, bro. So I can never remember if it was 2008 or 2010, but I did a tour. The opening band, do you remember that metalcore band from Southern California called Dear Life? I don't know if you remember them. They like broke up. They like stopped being super active, like right as things were starting to happen for them. Mm-hmm. But they got put on the second leg of a tour. It was the Acacia Strain, All Shall Perish, Since the Flood, and the band I was with. And that was when Nate Johnson was singing for Since the Flood. And so, you know that I like to drink too much. You're aware of that about me. You know, I don't need to tell you.
I've seen it.
Yeah. So I would always just get fucking. I mean, if you know Nate Johnson, you know he's clean and sober now and has a kid and shit. But he used to be the party animal. You know what I mean?
That's with Johnson when he was fit, man. That was
fit. Yeah. So him and I we got into a lot of trouble on that tour. But there was one night I remember. This is like, I'll always remember this. I might be telling it wrong. I'll have to double check the story with Eddie. But like, All Shall Perish had those fucking sick ass like thug like basketball jerseys.
Yeah, those are sick.
And I remember I wanted one, and and they were out of my size because I was like, I mean, I'm still a big dude, but I was like definitely fat back then. Because I just toured. I didn't take care of myself. You know what I mean? So I fucking remember one day, like, they didn't have the jersey, and Eddie was like, I want to push more of the jerseys. And I was like, well, fuck, dude, like, I'd wear one and be your fucking guinea pig. And he's like, why don't you let me draw everything from the jersey on you in Sharpie? And they had a fucking stencil of the old All Shall Perish logo. And so I like literally let him like Sharpie blast it across my tits. And he even drew the like double zeros with like the hella hyphy or whatever it said on the back, because they were from the Bay. Like I spent a whole show. All I wore was like way too small Acacia Strain Moss shorts and with a Sharpie jersey on my fucking skin. And I remember waking up the next day like, that was the goddamn dumbest thing I've done on tour yet, dude. Like,
looking back now, you probably think that's probably the greatest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, now I'm like, that was sick, dude. That was.
I wish I would have seen that. Damn, that's crazy. That's that was way before my time.
Yeah. So I love those dudes, and that must have been like. That must have been how, you know, you and I met, is through Eddie. I'm just going to assume it's that.
Yeah,
you know,
I think actually it was. I think it was. I want to say we talked at a Lionheart show at Red House.
Probably.
Eddie was there because Eddie was there, and I know. I think you put on the show if I remember correctly.
More than likely.
Yeah, I think you put on that show for sure. But I can't remember what year that was, but I know for sure. Like, you know,
I've put on so many Lionheart shows. There's no point in even trying to count anime.
Oh, I saw my first show with Fallujah was actually with Lionheart, Lucky's Pizza in Dublin.
Oh, dude, Lucky's, man! I just had Brandon Hunt on, and we talked about Lucky's a bunch on this show. So
I think that was the only time I ever played that place was that first show. But man, that was a really fun show. I was like, it was so different, like, from like the eviscerated shows, like those shows, like to that. And I was just like, this is where the scene is for sure.
Yeah, I went up there with Arsonist once. Then I think I was up there with Moria twice. I think that's the only time, because back then, like as I said earlier, the scenes were kind of separate. You know what I mean? But it was nice because they were all self-sufficient. Like they all, nowadays it's like you need people from every corner of the fucking bay to go to a show for it to be big.
Yeah.
But back then it was like Lucky's Pizza, 200 people. The Cave in San Jose, 300 people.
Yep.
418 in Santa Cruz, 200 people. And they were all different people. Maybe like 20% of them were crossovers. So it's fucking tight.
Yeah, one place I never went to for a show, man, like which is, just highly, I never ever went to the Pound. I never saw a show at the Pound. They closed down after my time going to shows.
Yeah, I started going to shows I think I had like a year of shows there before they closed. I got to see Zaya and Animosity there. I saw Comeback Kid there. Right. I'm pretty sure I saw Shall Perish there.
They must have.
I saw BT Bam there. I want to say I saw. I don't know. I don't think I saw Every Time I Die there. But I don't know. Because for a while, some of those shows also came to like Santa Cruz or San Jose or like, Salinas. Yeah. But then there was a while where that stopped and all the bands just purely hit SF. So when that started happening, I started trying to go up there.
Yeah. No, and for me, those shows in SF that I would always go to for sure were either Slim's or DNA Lounge. And those two venues are right at the same block there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen so many almost all of my favorite shows I've ever seen have been. I remember probably the coolest show I saw at Slim's. Well, so there's two of them. One was an As I Lay Dying tour, so their support on that tour was crazy. So it was As I Lay Dying, I think Haste the Day, All That Remains, and Through the Eyes of the Dead. Ooh. And that was a really sick tour. I think at the time, As I Lay Dying, I think An Ocean Between Us was out. So they played back-to-back nights in San Francisco, and both nights were sold out, which was pretty cool. And then also I think at Slim's again was Black Dahlia Murder, Cannibal Corpse, Goat Whore, The Red Chord, and The Absence. So it was like a Metal Blade tour.
Sick, yeah. I remember that Metal Blade tour. I didn't get to go, but I remember it.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever met Trevor, but that's also right when Nocturnal came out. So the band was just going firing off on all cylinders at that time.
Yeah. I think the best show I ever saw at Slim's was it was Every Time I Die, The Red Chord, Zayo, and I don't remember who opened.
Yeah.
I have the flyer, and I have an old merch bin that's just all flyers from back in the day. I have it in there. I wish I remember who opened that fucking tour.
Yeah, but this reminds me of the first show I ever saw, actually, big concert was at the Warfield in San Francisco. I was 14 years old, so that was it was Slayer, Killswitch Engage, Mastodon, and then a band that opened the show called 9mm Overdose. I remember that. Yeah.
I remember the name. I've never listened to them, though.
Yeah. So at the time, that's when I really kind of got more into maybe the newer bands. Yeah. But at the time when I was at that age, I was really into old school metal, like Slayer, Sepultura, Pantera, Metallica, just any old school bands. I didn't really get into the newer age bands. And then at that time, Killswitch had, I think, just coming off of End of Heartache.
Ooh.
So that's so that was dead center, when that album had just came out. And when they played, man, I was blown away, dude. I to this day I can remember that feeling of seeing them play, their sound.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever in front of house at that time was, just a genius, because they're the best sounding band that night for sure.
Yeah, I don't remember the first time.
Their sound super old, and it was just just the on-stage chemistry between the guys. There was just I never really heard a band. That was my first concert ever, so it was my first experience of the live show experience. I'm man, the Warfield is definitely one of the best venues for sure in San Francisco. I'd say as far as sound goes.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I have only been to the Warfield once. I'm just really sad to admit this.
Ooh.
And it was when Danzig, you know how remember he used to do that Blackest of the Black, and it was like he would only play like California and New York, and he always would bring bands he wanted to help with him.
Right.
The year I saw it was, I believe they were playing Danzig 3, I think it was, and Bleeding Through opened.
Because I know All Shall Perish did one of those.
Yeah, it was not that year. It was Bleeding Through and As Lay Dying. That's who it was.
Oh, you want to know speaking of Bleeding Through, you want to know a sick tour that I saw, like, when I was first going to show. So it was Bleeding Through's headliner, but I think you might have been to this one. So this is a sick lineup back in the day of that time. It was Bleeding Through, Unearthed, Direct Support, Terror, Animosity, and Through the Eyes of the Dead.
I think I might have been at that, but I left early because I did not used to like hardcore.
Oh, that was at the Fillmore too. That place was packed.
Oh no, I didn't go to that. Never mind.
That was a crazy show. That was right when Unearthed put out that Giles, the third album they put out. There was one after the Oncoming Storm. But that was like a huge show and all this. That was my first time seeing Animosity, and that's like when Empires was out, and I was just like,
oh yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
I could see all those bands, man. What a crazy time.
Yeah, fucking A, man. Well, so when did you join All Shall Perish, and how long did you tour with? Well, I didn't know you didn't join. You were just the touring member. How long did you do that for?
Yeah, so I was like a live, kind of like a live member of the band, and I think that was like a few months. Then the band All Shall Perish kind of, unfortunately, kind of like faded away. I guess as Eddie, I think we all know, joined Suicide Silence.
Yes,
vocalist. And then that's kind of the story there, like the band, unfortunately. So a lot of the dealing that those guys had, those talks, and I kind of like stayed out of that point because I was
I think anybody with access to the internet knows there's some drama behind the scenes with the band.
Yeah. So I
kind of figured you stayed out of that. I know you're not one for drama anyways. You know what I mean? I know that about you. So
I mean, it was an unfortunate thing to kind of like be a bystander to see kind of like everything kind of just like dissipate as it did.
Yeah.
But that's just life, man. And things happen, and we just got to move on with life. And after All Shall Perish, then I was with then I discovered the Zenith Passage. I think it was a Metal Sucks article that posted about their EP Cosmic Dissonance.
Yeah.
I was just like, holy shit, this is insane. I love this. And I think I didn't know at the time I was Facebook friends with Justin McKinney and Greg Hampton. So they posted about it, man. And then we all just kind of kept, and I saw it was just Greg and Justin in the band. I was like, this is just a 2-man band putting out an EP, which is really cool. The music was just super intense. It was very, very much the style of death metal that I love.
Oh, I loved, dude. I mean, I love all of Zenith's music, but that first record will always be like the best thing for me. Like it was like you said, the way it just kind of came out and made waves. I was like, oh shit. Yeah, man.
And so we all kind of got together, and I was kind of bandless at that point. So, and I be at the time just needing to be in a band and playing and stuff. So I hit up Justin, and I was like, dude, can we? I was like, dude, can I like try for the band? And he was just like, oh, dude, yeah, of course. And so we kind of like sent back and forth guitar tabs, and I kind of like learned most of the EP, and we kind of like started to slowly really form the band. Then we got at the time the band's first drummer, Luis Martinez.
Yes,
freaking incredible drummer, man. And we did a lot of our first show at Red House. I think you put that show on too.
I believe I did, yes, because I knew, because I've known Greg really well for many, many, many years. Our area's always had, like the South Bay's always had a weird connection to Bakersfield. Moria did really well in Bakersfield.
Yep.
And it was weird because so Moria did well in Bakersfield, and because we did well in Bakersfield, that was the connection. So the Moria guys met the Impending Doom and Final Burden and that whole squad because they did well in Bakersfield because Bakersfield doesn't have any of their own bands for some weird reason. Well, probably because it's Bakersfield. But so they would come up and we played all together, and then Arsonist got that's how everybody met each other. So we always had this strange connection. And Greg is potentially the biggest Moria fan on the face of the planet. You know what I mean? And so like whenever I was down there with the guys, because I always traveled more for fun. Taylor's been my best friend basically since we became friends.
Right.
And fucking Greg loved them. Like, so I just know. And then, he was in a fucking band called Dog Eats Flesh, which is a terrible band name, but
aren't they all?
Fair. And so I'd always just stayed in touch with them. And then when I remember when that album came out, I was like, this is fucking sick.
Yeah, man, it was pretty game changer. For me, I was like, dude, this is like, I would love to play in this kind of band.
Yeah. And so you joined what year did you join Zenith?
I think that was definitely 2013. I think end of 2013, I want to say.
Okay.
When I officially kind of hopped in with that band. And then, I learned like, all the material for the EP, and then we kind of like, really started steadily playing our first shows, because the band was spread out too. So it was kind of hard to like really get together and practice.
It was like Luis and Greg were both Bakersfield, right?
No, well, Luis was here in this area.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
And then Greg was Bakersfield, and Justin was in like Los Angeles. That's part of Southern California. So, but we'd all meet up where Luis was, like at the drummer's house, and that's we really kind of like started to like get the band's live show together. And then we did our first show. So our first show was really sick, man. I remember it was it was a really like freaking death metal lineup, dude. It was Fallujah, Archaic, I think Inanimate Existence, a couple others, but what up? And I still have videos from that first show. I'll have to try to send them to you. But
I'm pretty sure we put that show on. It was like funny because Pen Up didn't do a lot of death metal until then, really. Like we had always just been the company that did like everything else. Like death metal just was never something that like Andrew, the other guy who founded the company, that was just not his cup of tea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I ended up doing it kind of like defaultly because like Despised and everybody would tour with that, like the lineups would be half deathcore, half death metal. So it just kind of ended up happening that way. But that was one of our first like full death metal shows that we did.
I remember,
and because I remember hitting up like Greg, like I need to be a fucking part of this.
Yeah.
And then I remember finding out that you joined the band too, and I was like, fuck yeah! Like I know Rob, like we're not fucking BFFs, but like I've always been a fan of you. And then you also knew fucking. I think the reason I met you is because I've known Josh Richards for fucking ever.
Yeah. And
then also, oh my god, how am I forgetting his fucking name right now?
I'm trying to think who.
The other guy that used to tour with All Shall Perish and do merch and stuff.
Oh, Pierre.
No, the Filipino guy with the shaved head, or is he? I think he's Filipino. Joe.
Oh yeah. I think he rocked with Suicide Silence a lot, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But so I knew him and Josh.
Okay, yeah.
So like I knew Joe, and then I was like acquaintances with Josh, and then like one day they were together, and I hung out with both of them, and then I think Josh might have had something to do with me meeting you because you're both from the East Bay. I don't fucking know, dude.
No, we all somehow through the scenes shows over the years, man.
But yeah, anyways, yeah. So you did Zenith, and then I know you helped write the other record.
Yeah, it was. Well, honestly, it was very little. That's like a lot of that credit for that for the first full length Solipsis. I would say probably before I joined Zenith Passage, I'm assuming Justin probably had a lot of ideas and like riffs and like where that album probably was going, where it ended up to. So like I'd say Justin for sure wrote definitely the vast majority of Solipsis. So the way the band sounds and how like what people know and love about Zenith, that is all from him, man. The dude's an incredible guitar player and an incredible songwriter. I think that's like, I would say, he's probably the most underrated guitar player when it comes to, just as a player in general, but like, with death metal, because like, what he did for me was, I think he made, technical death metal interesting. That sounds like kind of harsh, but like, it can be.
No, I get it.
It can be very, monotonous and like very intense, and I get that's like definitely a part of that style, but like how he was able to write these songs in like a very understandable way. They all kind of had like just some kind of like central theme about them, which again really kind of helped me, I think, become just a better guitar player and like songwriter, just kind of listening to that. Then we did a lot of the Zenith did like a nice amount of touring the last couple of years, kind of getting to know a lot of the bands that I think of like, Archspire, Rivers of Nile, Fallujah. We did a really cool tour with Fallujah for like a couple of weekends. It was like Fallujah, Archspire, Zenith Passage. That was a really fun tour. Just a big homie tour.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, man. There's like, toured across Canada and the States. Unfortunately never got to do an overseas tour, out of country tour, but and whatnot. But yeah, and then Zenith is definitely still in existence for sure. But I think after the last tour we did, we all kind of like, I think, took our little break from each other and kind of like wanted to go do other things.
Yeah,
for sure. I think I had to like really kind of like at the time prioritize myself a little bit, and like stabilize myself. So I really kind of just start taking my physical health into consideration, and like that really kind of helped push me.
Yeah, which you look great, by the way. I mean, we've been friends long enough. I followed your journey, and you're like a whole different person, and in like the best way possible. Though I don't mean that in like a shitty way.
No, not at all, man. I think it's all that's something like that like I said, it was all part of the journey. Kind of like just like I said, when we were on tour. Like you even said yourself, when we said when you're on tour, you're not really taking your health much into consideration because you're up for hours. You're eating the shittiest foods across the country because like the only foods available are stuff from gas stations or any fast food joints.
Yeah, exactly.
Living off that, for weeks at a time, and like you're coming home bringing that that lifestyle and that mentality at home.
Yeah.
Like so for after that very last tour we did, I just really kind of wanted to take myself. I told myself before I hit 30 years old, which was of course last year, and I was like, I want to try to like get myself in like the best shape I can possibly get myself into, and I really kind of steadily been just like holding true to that until now, until as long as I'm here for. So it's been as not just like a good like mental push, I'm sorry, physical push, like mentally it's helped me so much too.
Yeah.
And I think it also helped me like, really focus on other things too, like, really focus on, songwriting and like, taking that in for myself, because like that was one thing I was always very, very super self-conscious about was like, I've always like written music collaboratively, never really like written full songs myself, Justin and Scott or any of the guys in All Shall Perish, but these guys were always like these fully constructed songs, and like, knowing where they want to go. And so like, through all that, that's when I really kind of like, I thought up of the idea for Muldrotha, so like Muldrotha was like, in my mind, it was like, everything I personally love about the genre and like love about metal, I like put into Muldrotha. So there wasn't like any specific genre that it was. To me, it was just it was to me it was always just Muldrotha is just going to be a sick metal band that kind of like takes all the best elements of like the extreme aspects of it, so it's super heavy and it's very different than Zenith Passage.
Yeah, like I mean, I remember when you sent me or you showed me the first song, or I heard it. Maybe I don't remember if you showed it to me personally or not.
Probably.
But
I was like, "Who took you to?"
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, like we're working together now on the project a little bit, and it's like I love that you have like this might piss some people off, and I don't really fucking care. There's a lot of people that claim to do the whole like we're influenced by death metal and hardcore, and like we have elements of everything until the line. Well, you're fucking wrong. You know what I mean? Because like there has not been a band that's like here's a breakdown and here's something technical that did it very well since Animosity. There really hasn't. But like your music, you do it well. Like you're shredding and then it's fucking heavy. And I'm like, what the fuck? How did I get from there to there? You know what I mean? There's not a lot of bullshit. Like you're just able to fucking do it because you have good musicianship. There's a lot of bands, especially in the Bay, that really try to like achieve the blend, because both styles of music are so prevalent here in the Bay.
Totally.
And I mean, I love it. I'm a big fan. I love, Greg did the first, 2 songs, 3 songs, 4 songs, something like that?
Greg was on the whole first EP where
That's right.
Yeah, where Terror Thrives. Me and Greg kind of like thought up like, what's it going to be about? So we wanted to like to really be just like a fun.
Well, and it's cool. It's cool for me because it's like I'm almost like a fan because like you're my friend. I love your writing style. You've really progressed and matured, and like you know, there's I can tell where you get your elements from, but I can still tell you fucking wrote that. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice, like, as I've gotten older, there's these cool things that have happened in music, like, because I'm musically, I like to say I'm musically challenged. Like, I can't write a song or play an instrument to save my fucking goddamn life. You know what I mean?
We'll write something heavy, man. We'll throw it down.
I'm down. But you know what I mean? Like, it's cool that I can like listen to something and be like, Rob wrote this, or like the other person that's really like that is Chris Tognetti.
Oh yeah.
When that motherfucker writes something, I'm like, oh, I know who wrote this. He doesn't even just show me it because I know he wrote
Chris
it.
is on another level of great, man. That dude just is like, that dude has, just chops and just, just the ideas for days, just like, for me, when it came down to stuff like that, because I've been, like I said, I guess involved with like, that style of music, the technical death metal, you naturally want to, I think, just kind of fall in line with what they sound like. And so you're, I guess in a way you kind of like just, you prepare yourself for disappointment in that way. Cause like, well, for me, all I really wanted to focus on at that point was like, I just want just to write just good music, Yeah. I don't care if it's technical. I don't care, if it's slow or fast, just whatever works, whatever flows well, and just kind of have that really be like the main goal always. Like, let's write the best music we can, and we'll put in whatever works, and if whatever doesn't work, we won't have it in there, So just whatever services the music the best, and like, that's what I think. I think with this newer stuff now that we've had, the stuff that you've heard, I think it's, a great representation of where I think I originally had always kind of thought about the band, like I really enjoy writing the music for it now too.
Well, it's tight because, like, I feel like, if we go purely off the homie level, you guys could play a show with Spite and you would fit, and you could turn around and play a show with ASP and you would fit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I love that. Like, that's and I also love it because it encompasses you as a person. And it's like, as I was saying earlier about like the fan thing, like I get to enjoy it from a fan perspective because like you're my friend, Greg's my friend. And he was on the first record, and now we have Alex. You have Alex doing this stuff now, and Andrew's doing it. And it's like, I have, I like the new guy that sings for Fallujah, but I prefer Alex. Mm. Sorry, Andrew, if you watch this. I'm not trying to be a dick. But, like, I love Alex's vocals. There's just something about the way he sounds, especially his highs. Mm. Like, I love the way that motherfucker sounds. So, like, and then I love the way Greg is as a fucking, like, deathcore vocalist.
Oh, dude,
so,
Greg, I mean, dude, all the time, Greg fucking killed it on that first EP, man. Like, and I think, we really wanted to do something different with his voice, because a lot of his delivery on the Zenith stuff's very fast, very like, very just kind of sharp and focused, like, so we wanted to do something where his vocals would be a little bit more open, because Greg's got a fucking powerful voice, dude. Like,
no, he does. I fucking
a lot of this on the EP stuff, and I think he had a lot of. I don't want to speak for him, but I think he had a lot of fun when he was out there, and then after, like, because we all know Greg's basically a dad. That's not a dad.
Yes.
And so
he's a childless dad. That's what he is.
No, but I absolutely love Greg, man. He's like one of the best people I know for sure. Like, that dude is like so funny, and like, if you never got to tour with Greg, man, I feel sorry for you, because that dude is like one of the most entertaining people to have.
I never did, but I've spent a lot of time with him. He's there are a few people on this planet better than that guy, in my opinion. Like, just
I think Greg probably has the greatest knowledge of like food and snacks and just all the shit that you would never think would matter in a day-to-day basis. And Greg is there, but also Greg is like probably one of the best like people knowledgeable on like horror films and culture, dude. Like, the dude, you go to his place, I think he's got every horror film you could think of, So like, that's how we really put a lot of the first EP together. We talked about, stuff like, so like a lot of the lyrical stuff from the EP were Terror Thighs is like, themes from the favorite movies of ours. So we have a lot of I think Greg and our favorite horror film is The Thing. So we have a lot of themes based around that, isolation, just trust and stuff like that, and a bunch of other things too. But so then, but like with all time comes change, so then like, I thought, well, it's funny because when I first put Muldrotha together and I was telling Alex about it, Alex was like, dude, let me do vocals for it. And I was like, oh, I got Greg on it though, because I didn't want to back out with Greg at the time. But then I hit up Alex again. And then I think the first song I sent to Alex was, the first song he was on was Lungs of the Mother.
Yeah.
And, dude, he just came back in and he just killed it on another level that I could have ever imagined, man. And it was almost like it was a bittersweet moment, kind of being back together with him. And I realized, you're like, dude, Andrew's here too, man. This is like, I hadn't worked with Alex on music, for years.
Yeah.
And like, he just kind of came back in and like he did his thing, man, and he just fucking killed it, dude. And like, he did the same thing with Kingdom Underground.
Mm-hmm.
The next time, it's like, I'm just like, man, this is like, to me, just like this made sense. It just makes sense to me to be working with him like that, and all this kind of stuff. And very much looking forward to, his next approach to the material here, which is like the final step. I'd say most of the music is pretty done. He's just going to put his touch on it, and it's going to be brutal and heavy and dark, and very excited for people to hear it.
Yeah, I'm the stuff I've heard so far is already so promising. Like, I'm ready, dude. I'm fucking ready. That's all I have to say.
This is one of those things where it's like, yeah, man, I'm just ready for people to hear it now, but we also don't want to like I'm ready for people to hear it, but I also like want to make sure it's like, the best it can be before it's out there too. So
correct.
And also, I don't want to forget too, in Muldrotha too, I think one element that makes it work really well too is Sean, our bass player. Sean, dude, you want to talk about badass musicians, man? Sean is just fucking incredible bass player. Dude. Sean has been, Sean is also, for people that know, he's the bassist in Decrepit Birth, but he's played with Decapitated, Rings of Saturn. Dude is just one of these sickest bass players. And like I toured with him on the Zenith tour. I think it was on the Devastation of the Nation tour.
Oh yeah.
When Decrepit was on that with Zenith Passage, and like I got to finally, that was the first tour I did with Sean. Like, man, like what a cool dude. Just freaking,
That's so tight.
New York dude, he just slaps at bass, literally, man. The dude is one of the best, man.
Yeah.
I'm just really happy to have him part of the project too. It just brings a lot of character and charm.
That's fucking awesome.
Anytime, we haven't actually all talked like in a while, but anytime I do hit up Sean's always ready to talk, So, I'm just hopefully now we're getting into like maybe the final little stages of the music here, and hopefully have something relatively soon for people to hear.
Yeah. Usually this is the part of the show where I'm like, well, what's going on with the band? But I already know, so I feel stupid asking you that fucking question. So we'll just tell everybody to wait and see.
Yeah, man. We'll wait and see, man. I think we got some cool things for sure for everybody.
I agree. All right. Let's get to the boring stuff, Rob. The boring stuff. I started this show as a way for people to pull the veil back from me a little bit. You know me as a person. We've hung out. We play video games. We partied a little bit. But, everybody always gets like off the wall, like blackout drunk Joel, or like super like Joel at a show. He doesn't have time to be nice to me. Maybe he'll take a shot with me, like, business, like pen up Joel's what I call it. You know what I mean? And so part of the show is I like to like be informative to people. So, what is something, what would be your number one piece of advice to somebody trying to make it in like the metal community, metal scene, like whether they're a solo artist or as a band, like what, whether it's something on the management front, whether it's some, whatever, like what's the number one piece of advice you want to give to like an up and coming musician in the metal scene?
Man,
I know it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff you want to say.
There's a lot of things you could potentially say here. I'm trying to think, on the business side of things, this is something I usually go to you for also, actually. But if I had to think about it,
Yeah.
If I had to take a step back and be like, well, how should we actually approach this? I would be like, I'll think of Joel and see what he says. But man, I'm trying to think. Well, I would say, if you're asking me, I would say really, really focus on making your music the best it can be. I think people really overlook what a good product, can do for the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me take back to like Zenith Passage. I think people really dug Zenith because, when they came out with Cosmic, it was just put together so well.
Yeah.
They sounded like, they sound like a seasoned band, and it was their first.
Yeah, coming out of the gate sounding like that is just.
So I would say really, really, focus on, what your band is, and like, putting out like the best version of that music possible, to kind of just, and naturally things will just, kind of, grow from there. But, yeah, just like, have a solid social media presence, like be very, very solid. Like now more than ever, if we're talking like, nowadays, I would say really just kind of be on, the social media, like, Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
Is,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You're following on Instagram is like, I think I would say Instagram is probably the biggest thing for any band now,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
and then all your individual members that, have, if you want, like, for, content, have drum playthroughs, have guitar playthroughs, just be on all of that, be interactive with your audience too, if you get a lot of attention, on stuff, be interactive, like constantly engaging. I say all this now, because, we're in this, crazy pandemic, and I feel like this is kind of what bands have to go on at the moment, just like using the tools we have at hand of social media to kind of like keep ourselves afloat and alive.
Yeah.
For a while until all of this, blows over, I guess would be the word to say. But yeah, I would say, I'm sure there's probably a much better answer, but at the moment I would say that's for sure, what always comes to me first.
Yeah, I feel it. That's I like that. I'm a big hone your craft person. You know what I mean? Like I think that's very important. And like, I've even said before on my own, like, dude, if you come to me with like some product and I'm just like, what, like, did you even take the time to listen to this before you send it to me? You know, like, so I'm with that.
Yeah. Good, like I said, a good presentation and just good idea of, what you are and your identity, I think is also, will always work really well in the long run.
Good. All right. Now for the generic question, Rob, the most boring question I can think of.
Bring it.
What's your favorite color?
Ooh, I'm going to have to go with blue today.
Blue?
Okay. I'm going to say blue. I'm going to dig in the blue.
All right. I can take that. All right, Rob, this is the question that gets everyone in trouble.
Okay.
I have two of them back to back.
All right.
Sheets or Wawa?
Man, I guess I'm gonna have to say Wawa just because I just know the name more. Wawa just, I think, is
fair.
My name because
you also haven't toured the East Coast in a while, so that's kind of an unfair question.
Yeah, I don't think I've done much Sheets really. I think Wawa is what I remember doing, so I would have to say Wawa.
Okay. All right. Now this is the tough one. Okay. I already know what your answer is going to be, though. In-N-Out or Whataburger, Rob?
Oof. I don't like either, so I hope that's a controversial answer. So,
that answer in and of itself is.
I would say they're both trash. Sorry, Cali folks. I just think In-N-Out is very, very overrated. Of burgers, and it's just like they got two style of burgers. Is the cheeseburger, double on it. I haven't had it in years at this point, but
all right. So you were the wrong person to ask this question too. That's fine.
That question was, I think, both there. Whataburger, I think, is worse, but I don't think In-N-Out. I don't know what's worse, being just a bad chain of food or just something that's completely overrated and just completely has filled California.
Now I fucking regret even asking you the question. Fuck, dude.
Just it's dangerous territory you're entering, man. You gotta
Okay. How about this then? So it's a two-part question. What is your favorite food that you can't get at home? Like what's your favorite food to eat on tour, and where is your favorite place to eat on tour? Because I know that those answers are not always the same. Like your favorite restaurant on the road versus your favorite food that you can't, like for example, like with me, like I love a good, like, especially for some reason in Canada, it's the best, like chicken shawarma when it's on like the spit, you know what I mean? And rotates. You go get a chicken shawarma, like burrito or wrap somewhere. It tastes infinitely better everywhere that's not California.
Well, if you say, if you're going to say Canada, I guess I would have to vote poutine. I don't think you can get pure poutine here.
My man, dude. Man.
I would say for here too, that I'm just bummed is just not really good here. As at the time, a Philly cheesesteak here, the one on the East Coast, or just unmatched, unrivaled.
Yes,
it won't do well here. Remember, I think it's funny. The best Philly cheesesteak I had, I think, was in New York. This place called 99 Miles to Philly.
Oh, I love that name. That's tight.
Right around the corner from the venue, and it was like the smallest little like hole in the wall place in New York. Like it was so good at the time when I had that stuff. But
I mean, those are the hole in the wall places. That's where you should eat. People don't get that. People see that and they're like, "Oh, it's either run down or the quality's not going to be that good." No, you're an idiot. That's the place you should eat.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell everybody here, if you're going to come to California, the things you got to have Mexican food here, dude. It's just like, it's unrivaled. Like the hole in the wall place. It's like, what's the spot in Santa Cruz by the Catalyst? The little hole in the wall. That's by the Catalyst.
Oh, Taqueria Vallarta?
Yeah, I think that's the one, right?
Yeah, it's a Five Guys now.
Joel.
I know.
Oh, that sucks.
There are a couple other tacos. There's like 4 or 5 all within walking distance.
Hold on, Five Guys. That's pretty big though, because the one I'm talking about was like this place was like really small. Like the only spot you could sit is just at the counter. They turned that whole place into a Five Guys.
Oh no! Five Guys is the one literally next door to the Catalyst, like on that corner.
Yeah.
Fuck, which one? There's a couple different options that.
Yeah, so if you're at the Catalyst, I know what that one is. If you go left out of the Catalyst, there is the Five Guys. But if you go right down the street for a couple blocks down, there's a really dope taqueria around there.
Oh, yes. That place. Why am I fucking brain farting what it's called? But yes.
I don't know what it's called either, but I just know that's where it is.
That's where Frankie, our resident Hispanic person on the team, that's where he always goes when he's there. So, but yes, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that place is fucking good.
I would say any taquerias or straight up just here, like the trucks are just like have the best food you've ever had, dude. Like I'd say outside of All Shell Parish's practice space, a truck would always be there every day, and dude, they straight up just had the best burritos I've ever had.
Dude, we have this place.
I think I've topped those burritos. I'm sure you've had that truck before. Have you been around that?
Probably. Dude, there's a new one it's in Salinas and Monterey. They're called El Volcan. Ooh. It's a truck. Rob, listen to this. Are you ready? I'm gonna take my glasses off.
Oh shit!
You can get a Cali burrito from them.
Oh yeah. They
make the fucking French fries in front of you. So it's literally all grilled at the same time, and you watch them like do the thing with the potato where it comes through the fryer, like it strings it, and then they fry it while they're cooking your fucking meat for the Cali burrito, and they put it all in there together.
Your life be saved in front of your eyes.
Yes, basically.
That's incredible, man.
And see, I'm a fucking gringo, so I can't do hot stuff at all.
Oh, I love hot stuff.
Because even their mild salsa, like I'm like dead for like a week, dude. Like. So you would love it.
I'm all about hot spicy stuff. Well, like also I'm more recently really gotten into like Burmese food.
See, I've never tried.
Yeah, dude, Burmese food is the shit, dude. You want spicy stuff, man? Holy shit!
I've been on a big. The last like 2 years, I'm real big on like the Hawaiian fusion food. Like I love it, dude. Like I've always enjoyed it, but the last couple of years, like that's like if I can go out and get like Colby ribs with like a rice ball and like mac salad from like a Hawaiian place, like stuff like that, or like even like we have a place here in Monterey that has like they're like it's like Hawaiian fusion tofu tacos, but they're so fucking good.
That sounds amazing. I might try to look that up.
Dude, if you ever want to come down this way, bro, I got you with the food. You know what I mean? Like, I know where to go.
Tofu and tacos, I'm there, man.
Exactly.
Tofu tacos.
All right. This is the last question I ask every guest, Rob.
Right.
And it's a difficult one. And I did not give you a heads up because I never give anybody a heads up. So I'm really sorry.
Okay.
This one might take you a minute. Okay.
Let's do it.
So as I mentioned, like 10 minutes ago, part of the reason I do this is to like pull the veil down, let people get to know me and interact with me a little bit better and understand me as a person.
Right.
Well, you're an individual, you're very outspoken about things on the internet. You're also a musician. And sometimes, as a musician, it's hard to be yourself. And some people also prefer to keep like a wall up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So the last thing I'm asking you, and again, I've asked every guest this, so you're not being singled out, is what is like something about you on the inside or like a character trait or like a personality trait? What's something about you that you wish more people knew?
Interesting. It's funny. That is a tough question. Wow.
It is. Like me, for example, like you know, you've had enough conversations with me. I'm plagued with like I don't spell check everything, so I look very illiterate because I almost always spell something wrong.
Right.
You know, but on that note, this whole bookshelf behind me is filled with books, and I've read all of them. I actually love to read, but I never talk about it. I never post about it. And obviously I'm not going to post pictures of myself sitting around reading a book because I'm not a fucking douchebag. You know what I mean? Like,
good though.
Yeah. So, but like people don't know that about me. You know what I mean?
Your next like Instagram pic, just you with glasses, just looking all prolific, just sitting there with a book,
with like a fucking cup of tea or something.
Yeah, absolutely, with freaking your dog just chilling next to you too.
Yeah. She's asleep over here. I don't know. Can you see her?
Yeah, there she is. Oh, look at her.
She's all passed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like, you know, like there's that, like, you know, like I said, a lot of people know, like they're used to, especially in recent years, people get business Joel a lot because I'm very passionate about what I do with Pinup, and it's also how I make a living. But like when people actually sit down and talk to me about the company stuff, like they don't realize how much I know versus how much I don't execute because I don't care, because I actually do it because I love being a promoter. I love putting on shows for my friends to play and for my friends to attend. You know what I mean? That's why. But a lot of people don't see that. They just see me yelling at everybody at a show, or me telling kids who are fighting to fuck off, or me, you know, trying to bust in the people that are sneaking into the show. You know, they don't get to know like the why do I tick? Why do I say the things I say? You know what I mean? So like, I want to make sure I ask all my guests that.
Man, that's hard to see, because I feel like, well, it's funny you say all that too, because I feel like more as of late I've kind of put out, I think, who I actually am more so on the internet as of late.
Fair.
I think I want to be someone that's like kind of very filled with sarcasm, maybe like trying to like, you know, put a light jest in like, you know, very heated, tense moments, you know?
Yes.
Always kind of like keep that levity there. But I think also, you know, try to have a good balance of someone that's, you know, I think I got a lot of this from like, you know, from our kind of group too, like, you know, being there for people, like, you know, when they needed to, I guess, you know, just
yeah.
A listening ear, you know. I think I've always, you know, felt at peace, or like, you know, had a good calm sense of mind when someone listens to me, and like, you know, just really just kind of sat back and listened, and like, you know, gave me the time of day to like, you know, talk about, you know, my anxieties, or like, you know, just things going wrong, you know. And I thought, you know, that's something that I like to be for my friends, just anybody in general, you know. So, you know, as much as like, you know, I think there's a big like kind of jokey, like sarcastic side of me online too, but also like, you know, underneath that, you know, someone that's actually does take things serious too, you know. That was a tough one, man. I was like, how do I get out of this?
There's some people, because that's the one question I never give anybody a heads up to. So especially if it's like, you know, dude, most of these episodes are over an hour. Like, I know not everybody wants to hear me fucking talk for an hour. You know what I mean? So like, not everybody watches the show before they're on it. And I always get them, and they're always like, oh, what the fuck, man?
That was a good, I wouldn't say that's a bad question. I said that was a good one though. That's like, that made me think like, what about myself do people not know?
Yeah.
And I really kind of thought about it. I was like, well, I think I've been trying to like actually just put more of myself out there a little bit as a
It's good though.
Yeah, you know, and I think if I had to put forth anything, I'd say like, really, you know, do you like to take the stance of being an observer and listener, which I think now more than ever is very important, you know, really listening to people and like, you know, hearing people, and, you know, just getting perspective, you know, not just my own, but others. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that, dude. I love that.
You definitely get perspective in our chat. That's for sure.
So, oh yeah. When behind closed doors, some might think Rob and I hate each other.
No, dude, not at all, man. I think, you know, well, it's funny. He's like, they might think that too, but also when I look at it too, is like, dude, we're talking about freaking, you know, video game consoles. It's like, there's no way you can actually share a hatred for somebody over it.
Exactly. And if you do, you're a freaking moron.
silly dude.
Yes.
You know, but, you know, man, this was fun, man. Like, we had that fun back and forth about PlayStation and Xbox.
Oh, God.
Because at the end of it, I was just like, you know what, dude, it's really, when it comes, what the funny thing about all this is like, all that comes down to is just preference.
It comes down to preference, and I still love you at the end of the day.
Dude, man, that's all this is, you know.
Exactly.
A piece of the day.
Exactly. All right. Rob, thank you for joining me. We're about the hour 15-minute mark. This is usually longer than I like to go. So I appreciate everybody that's listened and watched and checked it out. Rob, how can everybody find you on the interwebs if they want? Let them know.
Yeah, so if you want, you can just find me on Instagram of Robert Mara 989, and through my account you can find all of my band's accounts. So you can find Muldrotha's account, and then you can just do a quick search. You can find the Zenith Passage and everything else too. So, and all this silly stuff I do through all of that. So
yeah, and I'll have Rob's links in the description at the bottom of the video, of course, per usual. Y'all know the routine. Rob, dude, this has been a blast. Thank you for doing this.
Great, man.
Like I told you when I asked you to do the show, like I just have my friends on and we chat. I learned stuff about you today. Fuck, dude, I actually learned a lot about you. This might be the most informative episode I've done, like on a friend.
Yeah, wow.
You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you fucking doing it with me. And unless my memory's failing me, you're the 35th episode. So I appreciate that, dude.
You've had 35 episodes?
Yeah, the first 10 are like just me.
Okay.
Like I started when I originally launched the show, it was like just me talking. I tried to keep the episodes to 15 minutes or less.
Right.
And I had fun doing that, but I'll be honest, like my creative juices kind of ran out. Like, what can I self-educate on? And what can I educate on that I'm passionate about? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I can only make so many videos on like how to not be a shitty local band or how to not be like, don't send me a Facebook message, use your fucking email. You know what I mean? Like I can only make so many episodes on that. And like right now, like with the world being as difficult as it is and being an adult hard right now. You know what I mean? So like I don't have my mental capacity is not at its standard rate. Let's just leave it like that. Yeah. So somebody was like, dude, why don't you interview some of your friends? And I was like, that's a fucking smart idea. And I started doing it that way. And here we are.
Yeah, man, this is a freaking pleasure to be a part of, man. And well, I'm sure I will see you later tonight at some point.
Yes, I'm sure we'll be gaming later. So
got that control over there waiting for me, man. So I'm ready to get on tonight with the dudes. And
yeah, I saw that thing. Looks pretty, bro. That thing looks pretty.
It'll be, as I said with it earlier. Now I will be above average.
There you go. I got a new controller, and I wouldn't say I'm above average, but I'm better than I normally do. Let's leave it like that.
I think the real test I got to try with this controller, I got to try Apex with it, because I think Apex, I was just not having a good time on the DualShock with it.
That makes sense.
Apex is such a fast, snappy aiming style. The controller is meant for that for sure.
I actually I've been taking a break. I only play Call of Duty because I play with the boys.
Yeah.
But like I've been taking a break from the FPS games. Like I've been doing like Avengers, Among Us, stuff like that. Yeah, I know you have too, and it's just been way more fun that way. Waffle and I even have this like cheesy it looks like you're controlling cartoon action figures with big heads, and it's like a WWE fighting game. It's just so nonchalant button mashing fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've just been playing like shit like that for fun, because what's the point in stressing out over my fucking KD and Call of Duty? You know what I mean?
For real, man. That's funny. It's like, as much as it's so funny how Call of Duty has I think been the leading cause of keeping people busy, but also driving them
up the wall, up the fucking wall. Yeah.
Good Warzone, man. And the fact that we got a new one coming in November is going to be even crazier.
Thank God. I'm ready, dude. Anyways, yeah, Rob, thanks for joining me. You're the fuck man. Everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, please, on YouTube. It helps me a lot. Check out all the links. Check out Rob's links. Check out Muldrotha. Check out Zenith Passage and Muldrotha, right? Muldrotha?
There you go. Yeah.
My English language, seeing the ROTH, wants to spit it out a different way. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'll have links at the, again, in the description. Check that out. The links will also be there if you listen to this as a podcast instead of watching the episode. I feel it. It works both ways. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Rob, thank you, my fucking dude. I appreciate you for being here. And I'm real excited for Alex. If you listen to this, finish the vocals on those fucking songs, because I really want to fucking hear them, dude. All right. I've been your boy, JoelCupcake. This has been Rob Mara. Oh, sorry, over here. I always get that fucking backwards with this goddamn camera.
There you are over there. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Peace, everybody.